Well, hello and welcome to Old People This Week. My name is Jeff, and that rascal there, a man who once had brunch with Wild Bill Cody in Deadwood, South Dakota. That's Mike. Good afternoon, Mike.
How you doing, Jeff? He stiffed me for the bill, by the way.
Uh, Mike and I are your hosts. This is a podcast for people who are 60 years of age and over. So if you are under 60 and you somehow staggered in here, well, you can go back to your Tinder, your TikTok, or your Reddit, or you could stay here and learn something because Mike and I are the two smartest old men in America. This podcast is for people who are mentally acute, smart, agile, older people who want all the information they can get before they head into the weekend. So they'll sound smart when they're talking to their friends playing pickleball, at the gym, playing parcheesi, or, as Mike and I do, spend an inordinate amount of time bending our elbows at happy hour.
With a chilled drink in our hand. Martini for me, glass of Napa's finest Cabernet for Jeff.
That's right. Please subscribe. If you subscribe, Mike will come to your house and give you a shiatsu massage. He learned and trained on horses, so his fingers are very strong. Send us an email to oldpeoplethisweek@gmail.com. You can comment on anything, especially Mike's hairdo, which looks especially dashing today.
Look at this. I'm telling you, my life savings from not paying for haircuts, I do this myself, you know. It's
Did
just
you
amazing.
did you do it today?
No, I do it about once a week. Yeah, simple, painless, and I keep that $50 that you pay whoever it is to do whatever that is. I keep in my pocket.
Hey, listen, I have a professional touching my head.
Yeah, professional what? Undertaker? That
No,
looks terrible.
licensed barber. If you don't like looking at, well, you probably like looking at my face, but if you don't like looking at Mike's face, then you can check us out on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or check out our Substack at 52tasks.substack.com. Last week I talked about how all of us have humiliating episodes in our life, and most of us, especially men, take those experiences and lock them away inside their head so they never have to think about them again, let alone tell anybody about them again. But the task last week was to get into your lockbox, take out some of those humiliations, write them down, and face them
Revel in them.
and revel in them. Mine, of course, was, and the one I wrote about was when I was about 12 years old. I was an altar boy at a triple funeral, the most solemn affair I've ever been to in my life, and I started laughing. And I started laughing, and I couldn't stop laughing. And then the guys that were standing next to me started laughing, and pretty soon, everyone in the church threw tears, and you could hear a pin drop. Or looking at the three altar boys who were laughing their collective asses off next to three caskets.
What was it? A car wreck or something?
It
How
was
many
a
people all together?
there was a family. They were driving together, and in Ohio, in the backwoods where we lived, there are tons of railroad crossings, and they're not all marked, or they don't
Oh,
have the
good.
they don't have the
Yeah, beware, dumbass. A train is coming.
yeah, and in the fog, and that's exactly what happened in a
Oh,
foggy
jeez.
winter night. They got hit by a train. Two kids and one parent died, and
Oh, jeez.
their funeral was marred by my inappropriate laughter. Ugh. So, like everyone else, all I've been doing for the last few days is watching the Olympics. I mean,
Yeah,
all day. I have
exciting.
two TVs and a computer on and watching everything. And you wouldn't think, I'm rooting for sports that I didn't even know existed or that don't care about for 4 years, like badminton, handball, these ridiculous team sports that I never watch ever. And I'm sitting there at the edge of my seat wondering who's going to win.
Even more obscure. My new favorite sport as of today. I just watched it. Hammer throw. The
Yeah, I
women's
saw that.
hammer throw.
Yeah, but you know what kills me? So when the guy goes to throw the hammer, they're surrounded by big fence netting, right? So
Yeah,
that the hammer
yeah.
doesn't go. back in just 2 Olympics ago, there was none of that. That hammer could have gone anywhere.
Yeah, no, it's just amazing to me that they could let go of it at the precise moment to get it through that opening. Same with the shot put in the discus.
Yeah, I saw
I
that.
mean, yeah, it's challenging enough that you're spinning around at high speed and then throwing a projectile that could kill somebody.
Yeah, I saw that American woman defend her gold medal from the last Tokyo Olympics, and she won
Yeah.
again. And then I watched those brutal, huge American men throw the shot put. They're humongous guys.
Oh, that guy was huge. Did you see him interviewed? Mike Tirico interviewed him, and Tirico is like it's like the guy was on a step ladder above him. He was so big. He's
He's bigger than those.
huge.
He's bigger than those bulls you used to ride in the circus.
Just about. Just about.
I'd get on that guy's back and ride around. By the way, they should have an old Olympics, like they have Coachella and they have Old Cella.
Yeah.
They ought to have an old Olympics, and you could enter in the dressage.
I could qualify. I could ride dressage. Probably about all.
Yeah, I don't know what I'd do unless they have a medal for sitting around watching TV or maybe nap taking. I'd gold medal in nap taking.
Yeah, couch potato.
Well, the guy I liked of all the every event that I've seen so far was the guy that was described as the Turkish hitman.
Oh, the shooter.
Yeah. So for
Yeah.
those of you who are watching this podcast and didn't see this guy, when they shoot the pistol, it was actually called a 10-meter air pistol event, and it was a mixed team. So there was a Turkish guy, Turkish woman, and the people, the shooters or the participants, most of them are wearing this very fancy headgear or eye gear, in which one side had a little flap that so you could focus on one eye, and
Yeah.
they had another lens that would go over that, and they wore these headsets on the side of their head so that they couldn't be distracted by noise or anything. This Turkish dude, walks out with a polo shirt on, like a golf shirt, like you wear most of the time, and his prescription glasses on. No paying, nothing, no fanciness or nothing. He gets out there with his pistol. Half hour later, he's got a silver medal. So the internet, of course, took to calling him the Turkish hitman. His name is Yusuf Dikek, Dikec. Another one of those names that
Yeah.
you don't see very
Defy
often.
description. Yeah.
Yeah. And anyways, he was great. It was awesome. And then they interviewed him later, and he said he was shocked by the whole reaction, but it was the funniest thing ever. He's just up there and just shooting away, and he wins. And then the other person I got into, and again, another sport I never watched, was this basically cycling. And it was a women's road race, and it was 98 miles long. So they started in Paris, they went out of Paris for about 45 miles, and then they turned around and they came back. And it's a complex sport because it's not like it's a straight out, who's going to be the fastest. They run in packs. And then certain people take the lead, and then they fall back, and other people take the lead, and it's like they lead each other through this thing.
Yeah, they draft one another. They
Yeah.
get behind each other. Yeah.
Yeah. But this
They're
one
very
American,
strategic.
it was very strategic.
Yeah.
And this one American woman, her name was Kristen Faulkner. She is in this group at the end, the chase group. So she's behind the two leaders who were, by the way, the world record holder was up front of her and another person. And she made it, she suddenly bolted with about 2 miles to go and took the gold. And it was spectacular. She came from out of nowhere and won by like 30 seconds, which is like winning by a mile and a half in that race.
Yeah, like Secretariat.
She was fast.
Yeah.
She's from Alaska, of all places. She went to Harvard to row, and then she went into investment banking and started cycling in Central Park as a hobby, and then takes it up competitively. And that's just like 5-6 years ago. Now she's in the Olympics and whips the world record holder and gets the gold.
Real underachiever.
Yeah, she's one of those people. She'll probably take up another sport now. I'll go take up a
And man,
marathon, run the marathon next time.
yeah, I love the pole vaulter. Did you see that kid?
He's the defending champ too, I think.
Yeah, he got beaten by, funnily enough, by a kid who lives in Alabama or Mississippi or somewhere, but who competes for Sweden because apparently his folks are Swedish.
Yeah.
Anyway, he set the world record, but the other American um, got silver. That was really exciting. I mean,
There are so many athletes at this Olympic that train in the United States or were born in the United
yeah,
States or have dual citizenship. But
yeah,
they always go, oh, here's a guy from, outer Mongolia who's went to the University of Kentucky. They all train and live in the United States. And then I don't know how, it pisses me off actually a little bit that we're training all of them to beat us, but
yeah. What can you do?
nothing. We had some comments this week, two to be exact. One was from this person, Allison Moreland, who got in touch with us last week as well. She said that the former was a very complimentary comment that we got a week ago, and this one was even better. She said, I love the cranky guys. Cranky. I assume she's talking about you being cranky, because me, I'm even keeled.
You're you're just you're just a barrel of fun.
She goes, I'm going to spread the word about your show. Don't know why you don't have more of a following. Well, I know why we don't have more of a following. It's because of your head, your hair, or lack thereof.
You know,
If you had a better haircut,
I have a
maybe
good
we get.
attorney. You know, you should be careful. You should be careful. Very sensitive. Yeah, no, don't.
God.
That is the worst turkey neck I ever saw.
And all I have to do is go like this and it goes away. I'll
Well,
just keep my hands like this during the thing.
yeah, it's a very attractive pose.
All right. So this is, the other comment we got. This guy named CB2435 said, you boomers, meaning you and I, were too harsh on the blind Barbie. I didn't think we were, I didn't think we were that bad. It's tough to be of our generation and then have someone say, oh, there's going to be a blind Barbie. It's like we're so old school, so old fashioned, so out of touch that that kind of thing just makes people like us crazy. But I thought we were very even handed and fair.
Well, you were. I was a little cranky about it just because I think it's silly for major corporations to to get involved in product lines that can't generate enough revenue to justify the product development, the research, the marketing, whatever, and in some attempt to try to be socially aware or whatever. And just from a business standpoint, it doesn't make any sense to me. I get it emotionally. I thought the mother who said that it was hugely meaningful to her child, that's touching. I mean, you have to be aware of that kind of thing. It's like the Bud Light thing, the company kind of takes their eye off the ball being profitability and shareholder value.
Well, you're not a shareholder in Mattel anyway.
No, but I'm a business guy.
Oh, jeez. You're a business guy, Mike. You were a business guy. Now your only business is how much working out the bill at the bar,
At the golf club.
the golf club. How much do I owe you for that?
Yeah.
No, why don't they come out with a septuagenarian Barbie, some old goat Barbie?
Well, they probably will. Yeah. And a
But there's no
wheelchair
one
for
to play
Barbie.
with it.
Well, they'll have a wheelchair for Barbie. They'll have an old folks home you can set Ken and Barbie up in. The Ken doll, by the way, will have hair like yours.
By the way, the Barbie doll's been around long enough. It could be 60 years old and over.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you saw that one, I sent you a note from the Barbie convention that was here where we live recently. And what was it, the Empress of China, which was a one-off specialty Barbie. They expected to bring at auction something around $50,000.
Oh, it was more than that. I mean, there was, I only know about this because by coincidence, I was in an Uber and the Uber driver starts going on and on about all these thousands of Barbie aficionados that he was taking from it was the Palm Springs airport to wherever this convention was.
Yeah,
And he said that they were in the car and bragging about how much money they were going to spend to buy these old classic Barbies. And yeah, it's a whole thing. It's a
yeah.
whole thing. Anyway, I think we'll put the Barbie behind us and put that comment by whatever his name was. I'll tell you, by CB2435. Sorry that you thought we were too tough on blind Barbie, but and we'll try to
Yeah.
be better next time. This is a public service announcement. Everybody pay attention. Boar's
Why?
Head, Boar's Head, which makes ham products primarily, meat, luncheon meats and that kind of thing.
Deli products, yeah.
Deli products, and they're very well known. It's a good brand.
Yeah.
They've had to recall 7 million pounds of deli meat after deadly listeria outbreak. And what is listeria, you ask? It's a foodborne illness caused by a bacteria called Listeria monocytogenes. Monocytogenes. So if got some bad boar's head, you're in trouble. And I listed here, and maybe I'll put it up or maybe I won't because it's too much typing for me. Some of the products they're recalling. And I didn't get further than the first one because it was called Boar's Head Hot Butt Cappy Ham. What the hell was that?
If you
Hot
if
butt.
you if you eat that, you deserve to get sick anyway.
Yeah. It honestly, the first one, the rest of them are kind of what you expected. Boar's Head bologna,
Yeah.
Boar's Head olive loaf, Boar's Head tavern ham, so on and so forth. There was about 20 different products. But the one was the first one they listed, Boar's Head hot butt
But
cappy ham. Hot butt cappy ham. I don't want to know what that is.
no.
What part of the
Here's a
pig does
question.
that come from?
Here's a question. What do you do if you're boar's head and you have 7 million pounds of diseased meat coming back to you?
They
What
sell it
happens
to
to that?
they sell it to somewhere in South America or something.
Oh, Lord.
So if by the way, if you've eaten some of this meat and all of a sudden you're feeling feverish, you have muscle aches, nausea, or you're vomiting, or you have diarrhea and upset stomach, well, you're in trouble, right?
Yeah. Or
But
you've
that,
taken any one of 30 other drugs being advertised on TV and the
oh yeah,
symptoms that are flashed at the bottom of the picture at the end of the ad. It's like every malady ever known to man. You'll,
that's the
you'll
best part
get.
of those commercials. You have moderate to severe rheumatoid arthritis, and then it says this medicine will cure it up. However, you lose all your hair, you'll barf
Yeah.
for days, and you'll have a
Potentially die.
yeah. But that's those. What I just said to you was the minor symptoms. The major symptoms are you could get a headache, stiff neck, confusion. What?
Uh,
What I just eat?
I don't need to eat boar's head to do that.
Loss of balance, convulsions. By the way, all these are also the signs of being old.
Yeah, I
Headache,
was
stiff
going to
neck,
say.
confusion, loss of balance, and convulsions. Meningitis, which is brain infection, and septimemia, or blood poisoning.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you have any of those, go see a doctor immediately and bring your boar's head hot butt cappy ham with you. This is what did it, doctor. I'm sure of it. All right. So back to more things that are PC that are going to make you and I crazy. This curvy Sports Illustrated model by the name of Hunter McGrady has joined Chrissy Teigen, Gail King, and Kate Upton as this year's cover girls of the Sports Illustrated swimsuits. Their Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition.
Yeah. I thought it was kind of cool, actually. I think it's great. I see. This is another tidbit you don't know about me, or my entrepreneurial past. Is after we sold the conventional apparel company, conventional size apparel company, I started an apparel company for large size women because the market at the time assumed large size women had no taste, no money, and so we kind of created a market for better large size women's apparel that took off like gangbusters. And
What was the name of the company?
Carol Morgan.
Yeah. All right, speaking of fashion, there was a question in the New York Times that said, is there no place, no event, no situation at which you should not wear a baseball cap? Because men wear them every day, everywhere, to every kind of event, with any kind of other accessories, no matter
Yeah.
what, team hats, everything kind of hats. And this particular writer was sort of miffed about it, and he actually quoted a British milliner, which I think a milliner is a
Hat
person who worked, hat milliner,
maker.
who said
Yeah.
that baseball caps were, in quotes, the tiara of America, which is kind of stupid, but that's what he
That's
said.
frightening.
And then the article goes on to say, what is the protocol? When should you not wear a baseball cap? Do you know when that is,
Indoors.
Mike?
Indoors. Never wear a hat indoors. I love these guys that you and I see at happy hour, at least somewhere between 40 and our age, who walk into the bar with their baseball caps turned around backwards. I just want to
Those old men with their stupid baseball hats on.
screaming from the room. Yeah.
You wear a baseball cap around, though. I've seen you.
All the time. I wear one all the time. Obviously at the golf course. And I usually, anytime I'm outside, I'll wear one. But I never wear one inside, indoors.
You don't wear one of those big floppy round hats like the for gardening.
No, no, no. Those are the guys who wear knee-high black socks and Bermuda shorts, baggy Bermuda
Yeah.
shorts. They wear those hats.
They also wear Crocs. And guess who else wears Crocs? You.
Love Crocs. I
Ugh.
love Crocs. If you ever wore them once, if you put them on once, you'd be a diehard Croc fan.
Oh, no. No way.
Yeah,
No
you
way.
would. I'm telling you.
No Crocs. Anyway, speaking of hats, you know how, and hats are famous in and of themselves because they've been worn by famous people.
Yeah.
And in the movies, what are the most famous cinema hats, you might ask? Is it the hat that the Wicked Witch wore
Possibly.
in the Wizard of Oz, which is kind of scary and kind of cool? So I wore a stocking cap in a movie that I was an extra in the late 70s. That one might be famous.
Did they cut the section you were in, or did it make it onto the reel?
No, I was an extra, and I was getting paid $35 a day, and that's what I was doing in the late 70s. And I'm in Hollywood, and we would go out on these big where they needed tons of extras. And this particular movie was called Get Patty Hearst, and it was the story of the abduction of Patty Hearst by the SLA.
Yeah.
And I was assigned to play a Los Angeles Police Department SWAT team member. I was wearing a black vest that said SWAT on it and a stocking cap. And I was given a gun that shoots grenades. And I was with all these other extras, and they set us up behind these police cars, and we're pointing our guns. And the director says, point your gun at that house, which is supposed to be the house where the SLA holed up in Watts that the SWAT found out they were there and went down there and blew the shit out of that house. But anyway, so I'm playing one of those one of these SWAT members, and I'm sitting there holding my gun, faking that I'm going to shoot it. And the cinematographer comes over and gets right in front of me, about 6 inches away with their camera, and shot me for a few minutes just shooting this gun. Well, in the finished motion picture, you see it comes to that scene, and the captain, the head of the SWAT goes, fire! And so it cuts, it shows me sitting there firing this grenade gun and then intercutting with basically the house in Watts blowing up. So I was the guy who killed the SLA. But at any rate, that hat is probably not worth much. I had to give it back at the end of the day. They didn't even let me keep my stocking cap. But But during a recent interview on Fox News Digital, this guy named Brandon Allinger, who's the chief operating officer of Prop Store and Treasure Hunt, shared how he came into the possession of what is the most valuable movie hat, a fedora that Harrison Ford wore in the Indiana Jones franchise.
Well, that'll work. That'll do it.
So he came across this, by the way, by getting the fedora from a actor who was the stunt actor for Harrison Ford.
Wow.
And he got the fedora from him, and they're selling it, and he thinks they're going to get $250,000 for it.
I have one of John Wayne's hats. Remember, I used to live next door to him on Balboa Island. And I had one of his old hats. I don't know if just one of his cowboy hats. I don't know if it's one he ever wore in a picture, but if it was the hat he wore in The Searchers, it'd be worth $500,000.
Yeah,
One of
the
best
problem
movies
is
in the world.
you'd have to have it, you'd have to have the Provence, you'd have to be able to work it back to but the article, the part about that fedora that I didn't read was how they had to prove that it actually was worn by Harrison Ford in that movie. And it's not that simple. You have to prove. And your hat, who knows? John Wayne probably had the hats just sitting around for guys like you who would drive him around when he was too drunk to get home himself. So
That's
you
right.
got one of those hats.
Yeah.
The Duke.
There you go, son.
Yeah. Yeah. For our next story here, switching from John Wayne to something a little more mundane, there's a woman named Eka, Eeka McLeod, who lives outside Phoenix, Arizona. She had been living in California. She was having all kind of stress, mental issues, and she needed to get out of her current situation in California. She ends up in near Mesa, Arizona, and she decides that she wants to buy a duck for the family.
For dinner?
Okay. No, not dinner, a duck, a pet duck. So she tells her three kids, I'm going to go get a duck. And the three kids are like, you're nuts, Mom. We don't need a duck or whatever. So she found a local organic farm store in Mesa had 12 ducklings. She went and got herself two. One of them's name is Jelly, which is the runt as it was described. And one's called Mooney, both Indian runner ducks. They later adopted a third, Topsy, which is a cayuga duck. All this means nothing to anybody, or you're listening to this and go, why are these two old men talking about ducks? Well, because first of all, Ika started chronicling her life with the ducks, and now she's got about 1 million subscribers on Instagram and TikTok, looking at the adventures of her duck. And the other thing was that I started reading about, so you see these ducks, their typical day starts at 6:30. They go out immediately, along with the two chickens, Princess Peach and Barbie, to get snacks. They play in the heat, they play outside till the heat reaches about 95 degrees. Then the chickens go in their air-conditioned coop, and the ducks come into the house to nap and snack all day. They return outside in the evening, then come back in for bedtime and sleep most of the nights. These ducks need to be protected since they're flightless and make for easy prey.
No kidding.
Yeah, I told my wife about when I was reading the story. I said, if these ducks lived out by the desert by where we live, there would be coyotes sitting there putting bibs around their neck and sharpening their knives and forks because they would be eating fine duck for dinner out here.
Neighborhood buffet.
So then they go to describe exactly what play do they mean when they go outside. They swim, they chase pigeons, they look for bugs, and they follow each other around. But if I call them, they come running to me, McLeod says. As for food, besides duck feed, they love peas, lettuce, and dried mealworms. And she said, it took me a minute to get used to the worm situation, but I'm good now, she adds. So again,
No.
only in America, only in Arizona too. But
Well,
people, she said the most questions she gets is about their poop.
yeah, I was just going to say, I've been around enough ducks on the golf course and hunting ducks. Little mushroom gravy, they're delicious, by the way.
Well,
That duck shit is just horrible. So I can't imagine having them in your house.
oh,
That's ridiculous.
well, it's like there's a reason that people say he's shitting like a duck because they're big, messy, dumps. So here's the kicker of this whole story. Ika makes them wear diapers. So they wear diapers when they're walking around the house, and they wear them when they're traveling, like in the car or a coffee run. So she brings them when she goes gets coffee, or on when they go to on Airbnb when they go to rental houses, they got to wear diapers.
This reminds me of our discussion last week about people who tie little ribbons in their dog's hair and wheel them around in baby carriages, treat them
Yeah,
like children.
yeah.
Good Lord.
It also reminds me of the diapers that you, I think, wear when you go to these 3 hour Kevin Costner movies, and you don't want
Insurance.
to.
It's insurance policy.
This is one for all of our people now who are like you and I over a certain age that we actually think about or worry about HOA stuff. This is a place called the Villas of Carillon townhome community in Feather Sound, Florida. They wake up one morning and in their mailbox, each person that lives in this townhouse organization, hundreds of them, got a bill for $60,000 special assessment. 60
Without
grand.
any notice?
No, without any notice. Here you go. You owe 60
Oh my
grand.
God.
So the homeowners go crazy. They storm the next board meeting ready to kill the people who are on the board. By the way, on those boards, they're all people that are their peers. You know, they're the same. They're just other homeowners, but they feel like they've got the power that they can ask for 60K per. And the
Yeah, it's like the
people,
home, yeah, it's the HOA like we have here, where we live. You know, these people never had an ounce of power or authority in their life, and they get into a retirement community or an HOA situation, and all of a sudden they're management geniuses, and and it goes to their head. I mean, it just drives me wild.
do you go to the meetings?
No, hell no. No.
I mean, well, if you're going to be pissed off about them, you ought to at least go to the meeting and see what they're up to.
No, I read the minutes. I read the agendas of if something's worthwhile, I'll go. But no, it's ridiculous.
What would you do if they put a bill for 60K in your mailbox?
Move next door to you. I'd be out of here.
I don't know what I would do because it's not that easy saying you're leaving and you have to sell the place and you have to do that. You'd have to,
Yeah, no, you can't say no. I mean, you're legally bound to make that unless you do leave.
well,
It's
they,
crazy.
so when they got down to the bottom of it, the reason that was this HOA board wanted to have a reserve of cash. And that's because some rules in Florida changed after, I don't know if you remember this, in 2021, there was like a huge senior citizen high rise that collapsed.
Collapsed.
Yeah. Killed 98 people due to construction flaws.
Yeah.
And the regulations now require more frequent inspections of condo buildings. And the condo associations are raising fees to build a reserve to have money in the bank in case they need to do repairs. So that's
Yeah.
what the thing was. But they're going to take it to court because it's like people were saying they would have to sell, get a second mortgage just to pay for this assessment.
Yeah, or sell their home and move.
Yeah.
And I think one of the bones of contention they had was I think the ordinance only applies to buildings that are, if I remember right, 3 or 4 stories or taller.
Yeah.
And this particular HOA was only 2 stories.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, so they didn't, right. So they were thinking, why are you even bugging us with this
Yeah,
thing?
yeah, yeah.
Well, good luck to them. I'm not gonna, don't come in our neighborhood. Don't bring your HOA to our neighborhood. I'll tar and feather you. I'll lead the group. All right. Now we head to Florida well, actually that was in Florida where where everything happens in the United States. It's weird, funny, interesting, and just wacky. A Florida inmate who was captured last week after faking an injury and escaping from a hospital was able to flee from custody because the deputy tasked with guarding him was sleeping, according to authorities.
Highly trained law enforcement officer.
Yeah. So witnesses indicate that so there was witnesses to this thing. They indicate that Deputy Tyreek Harper was sleeping during the time of the escape, and the inmate was not properly restrained in accordance to policy. Long story short, he didn't handcuff him. He left him alone for a doctor's appointment, fell asleep, and this guy bolted. And if you saw that picture of him, the dude's not wearing a shirt. He's got tattoos on every inch of his body, including his face. And it's not like somebody you could easily not, they ran him down within 15 minutes, but he got away.
And why didn't the people who saw the deputy asleep wake him up?
Yeah.
Say, hey Bob, your prisoner's running out the door.
They didn't want to wake him. They were being nice. Last year in Tampa Bay, 2023, a woman got up in front of the city commission meeting. You know how you get 2 minutes at the commissions or at the city. All right. And she demanded a tax to fund BDSM, city-funded dungeons for Tampa Bay. You know what BDSM stands for, by the way?
It's a bondage, who knows, bondage, sadomasochism, some crap.
No, bondage. Let me see. Bondage, dominatrix, sadomasochism.
Oh, good. Oh, good.
I don't know.
Yeah, let's throw a little taxpayer money at that. Jesus Christ.
So the city commission just ignored that woman. Well, this year, so 2024, another woman, different woman with an equally wacky ask shows up. She's a big, large, let's call her corpulent woman, like one of the SI models, by the way, with a giant platinum blonde wig sitting on top of her head, accompanied by an older gentleman, gets up in front of the same commission and asks to designate March 10th as Sugar Daddy and Mommy Appreciation Day.
Oh, good.
You've probably
let
been
me
called
run-
Sugar Daddy before.
Yeah, let me run screaming from the room right now.
She said, quote, "You guys may not be aware." So she said this to the commissioners. "You guys may not be aware, but Florida has the largest per capita population of sugar daddies in the U.S." Now, I would have disagreed if I'd been there. I just said California, especially Hollywood, has a lot of sugar daddies, but
Yeah.
or maybe Florida does. And she went on to say South Florida has the most concentrated populace of these aging benefactors.
What a lovely word.
The commissioner booted her out as well as the other woman. I went to a city council meeting myself recently. And though that particular thing about sugar daddies was not brought up, but I would, if it had been, I would have said, you go to the bar that you and I hang out at, and there's a lot of seedy-looking senior men with unbuttoned shirts and gold chains standing around at the bar, ordering cheap drinks and ogling the women.
Yeah, the local watering hole here for that is called the Nest,
Oh, yeah?
and it's legendary. Yeah.
Well, our friend Rick took us to a place about a month or so ago that there was a crowd of guys hanging out at the bar waiting to dance there's a live band, and they're just hanging around with their eyes open looking for a woman who might dance with them, and they and they would pounce.
That wasn't the Nest? Was it?
No, it
You sure
wasn't.
that wasn't the Nest?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't the Nest. I'm
Okay.
trying to think of the name of it, but it wasn't the Nest.
Okay, if anybody ever invites you to the Nest, don't go.
All right, I'll remember that. For the last story of today, this one I found to be funny, of course, ridiculous, always, for our last story. You remember, or you know who Pablo Escobar was?
Not a nice man.
I watched Narcos on HBO. He's not a nice man. He killed people just for looking at them wrong,
Just for sport.
just for sport. He was an insanely violent drug lord from Colombia. He was shot and killed in 1993. But when in his heyday, he had, according to that, when I watched Narcos, he would have warehouses just with stacks of cash piled up.
Yeah.
He couldn't launder it fast enough. He couldn't spend it fast enough. So he did things like he bought himself a zoo basically for his house. He bought elephants, giraffes, zebras, ostriches, kangaroos, and hippos that he kept on his property where he lived. So after he died, the locals basically poured onto his property and tore it up looking for money and guns. The authorities had to step in, and they took most of the animals and sent them to zoos, but they did not do that for the hippos because they were considered too dangerous to move. So there's 4 hippos that were left on the property, three
Just
females,
running wild.
3 females and 1 male. And they did what all animals do. They had indiscriminate and unprotected sex.
That a boy.
So now cut to 2024. There's about 170 of them roaming around down there where he used to live, which has led to problems, confrontations with humans. For example, they attack farmers and they destroy the crops. And as this one guy said, Colombia has a great biodiversity, but it is not a system that can handle a mega herbivore. A single hippo generates 20 pounds of feces a day, meaning he's doing a lot of what those ducks do, only he's doing it in hippo size. Of course, nothing can match our dog. I look over here, Truman's sleeping over here. Truman, our dog, it was a lab. He can generate a bunch of feces too when he's feeling it. He was giving me the eye about it just before we got on to start this thing too, which I think was his way of saying, I need to go outside.
I'm out of here, yeah.
And quick.
Does he like the beach?
He loves the beach. He just loves, well, it's completely different from where he's used to, so he's having a good time.
Okay.
And besides the 20 pounds of feces a day that these hippos can deposit, a female can give birth 25 times over their lifetime of 40 to 50 years.
Jesus.
So the government first tried killing them, which, the people went berserk, the public, that said they can't do that. So they tried capturing and selling them or just shipping them out, and that didn't work. Nobody wanted them, these big dopey hippos. And now they're trying to castrate them in the wild, which is a taxing and time-consuming feat to do on a 1,500-pound pissed-off animal.
Yeah, that is not an assignment I'm going to accept from my supervisor.
This is like those animals that you said that you saw when you went on vacation, those crazy snakes that are eating all the eggs and all that.
Yeah, in Guam.
Guam.
Yeah,
Well,
tree snakes.
Tree snakes.
Yeah,
Well, if you
yeah,
go down to Colombia, then you better keep your eye out for some roaming 1,500-pound hippo coming after you.
Yeah, they're nasty. I mean, and they can run damn near as fast as a human.
Well, any animal can run faster than me. My running days are over. So I'd have to just sit there and take it.
Get on your electric bike.
Oh, if I had my electric bike, I could get away. I'm fast on an electric bike. That thing would not be able to catch me if I started driving that thing. All right, anyway, thank you everybody for joining us on today's podcast. We've learned a lot. Please subscribe. If you subscribe, Mike will come over your house and give you a shiatsu massage free of charge.
Free of charge. You do have to pay for first class airfare, though I fly first class only, so
Well, maybe they're going
factor
to,
that into the equation.
maybe they'll come to your house and you can do it on your living room couch.
That wouldn't work.
No, your wife's not going to take that. If you don't like looking at Mike's bad shirts and bad haircut, then go check us out on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Send us an email.
Put our pictures side by side.
Our pictures are
You
side
tell
by
me,
side.
you tell me who is the most attractive, well-groomed, sartorial splendor in this duo right here. What is that you're wearing? Is that the only black t-shirt you wear?
Hermosa Beach, baby. Showing the colors from the Bolt restaurant in Hermosa Beach, California. Where was I at here? Oh, yes, email. If you send us an email to oldpeoplethisweek@gmail.com. Check out our Substack at 52tasks.substack.com. As I said last week, we talked about how to deal with the humiliating moments we have in our life. And this week will be something equally as thrilling and give you a task to do that will make you a better person. So thank you all. Have a good weekend. And Mike, take care, buddy. I'll see you soon.
All right, do the same. Take care. Thanks, everyone.